Sunday, November 15th, 2020. Still waiting for the finale on the 2020 election. The current time in Anchorage, 3:17 a.m., Phoenix, 5:18 a.m., El Paso, 5:19 a.m., Philadelphia, 7:20 a.m. Here are the latest numbers from Worldometer. 54,446,586 people have been infected around the globe with COVID-19. In 225 have died from the disease. 37,962,285 have recovered. 3% death rate. The rest are open cases awaiting an outcome. More than 4 million cases a week. We were at 3 million a week not that long ago. When the pandemic first hit, they talked about this virus spreading exponentially. That's why they needed to get control over it fast, from the start, to keep it manageable with the ability to contact trace. Then they could put people in quarantine to stop infections in a given community. Only problem, we've lost containment. When cases are in the thousands, the rapid growth doesn't seem like much. Now it's hit millions of cases a week. People are starting to get worried that this could keep getting worse. Could we get more than 1 billion infections? If that happens, then hospitals are going to remain overcrowded, and the death rate could increase as a result of overwhelmed medical staffs. So far, the death rate remains steady at 3% after dropping off from 21% on Easter Sunday, when this writing began tracking the statistics for posterity. Right now, the pandemic continues without a president of the United States. The votes are still being counted and disputed. President Trump has let go of top military and security positions in preparation for holding on to power. He seems to be shuffling the deck to bring in loyalists without it being obvious enough to alert the national media. Meanwhile, President-elect Biden waits in the wings to take command, lacking the guidance of the outgoing administration. Luckily, he's a former vice president with a substantial Senate career who not only knows how Washington, D.C. works, he also wrote the modern handbook of the swamp. Conspiracy theories are so bountiful on all fronts while trying to rationalize what we're following live as it happens. Over the next 2 months, Biden should be slowly taking over the reins thanks to the black vote tired of police shootings. That's unless President Trump can pull something off in the courts like he seems confident of being able to achieve. Or there's a powder keg somewhere in Washington, D.C. that goes off, and that's the secret fear of everyone, that the light of democracy can be extinguished with national debt and a dependence on a foreign power. We might unknowingly be at the mercy of the Russians and Chinese already, yet this nation's history begins there, biting the hand that feeds it with a flair for liberty. Only now, like the failure of a rebellious teenager, we must return home to live with our parents. So too could America be on the brink of a failure, only on such an epic proportion without a home to return to, and thus defeating our enemies as well with a suicidal free fall into the abyss of the unknown. What is the future of the world without the light of liberty to guide it? No longer in control of our own destiny, we must discover if the virus can reinfect patients on a mass scale or stays confined to a handful of old cases. Can we get a cure? Vaccines sound more like a medical treatment and less of a virus killer that pushes the virus back into the abyss from which it came. How long can this go on? A pandemic with no ending in the near future and always the fear of catching the bug. This writing continues as the pandemic unfolds and the events of the future are revealed.